Welcome to Dodgers Daily. I'm Casey Porter. I'm so glad that you decided to tune in. And we have a very, very, very special guest on Dodgers Daily today. Infielder in the Dodgers organization, Kyle Froemke, joins Dodgers Daily. So, Kyle, thank you so much for joining.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Okay, we're going to start with a light moment. I like doing this just to kind of break the ice a little bit. You went to both Oregon. Of course, you went to Oregon out of high school, and we're going to get to your background here in a minute. And then you finished up at Oregon State, okay? Now, the Civil War was this last weekend, so I got to ask you, having been to both schools, playing baseball at both schools, okay, where were you at? Where did you watch the game? Who were you rooting for? How did all that go for you?
Yeah, so first of all, I've been a Duck and I've been a Beaver, and I choose Beaver every time.
Okay, very nice.
That's nothing against the Ducks, man. They got a great school, great town. I enjoyed my time there, but I'm a Beaver through and through for now. And, I only caught bits and part of the game. I was watching my buddy. He's a tight end at TCU, so I was at the TCU football game watching that and just checking up on scores and stuff. And I looked at it at one point, threw on the stream, and we were down 21 points in the third quarter. And I was like, oh, there's another Civil War gone. But, they came back. Awesome win for the Beavers in Corvallis. And, yeah, that's a huge win for that program, and awesome day to be a Beav, for sure.
Of course, baseball has been just absolutely fantastic at Oregon State, and we're going to get into Darwin Barney and Mitch Canham and the guys that have it continuing going on after Pat Smith got it started there at Oregon State, and we're going to get into that. But Jonathan Smith has it going there in football as well, so I wanted to get into that. And I'm glad that you clarified that you are a Beaver through and through, so that's a big deal. So, okay, another light moment. While you're at Oregon, second series of the year in 2019, you got to play St. Mary's, and on that team was Michael Hobbs, and we know Hobbsy now. He was a 10th round draft pick of the 2021 draft. So talk about what you remember from Michael Hobbs from that day.
Yeah, we game planned against Hobbs that whole week. Hobbs, great pitcher, great guy. And, at the time, I didn't even realize, when I met Hobbs, oh, man, he went to St. Mary's. But that was my first college series I ever played. So my mind was running, and I was getting super focused. But, I do remember playing Hobbs that day and him bringing his good stuff. He shut us out for, I think, 3 innings. So, he's a great pitcher, and he was a great pitcher back then, too. So it was a great opportunity to play him back in college.
Okay, so let's take you back to your Oregon days. Of course, we're going to get into your high school here in a minute. And you started out at Thousands Oaks, California. Then you moved to Round Rock, Texas, where you finished your high school career. And then you chose to go from Round Rock all the way out to Oregon. For those that don't know, George Horton is the coach at Oregon. He helped Augie Garrido build that massive program there at Cal State Fullerton. He's in like 3 different Hall of Fames and has won just 1 million games. He resurrected that Oregon program that had not been an organized sport. It had been a club sport for almost 30 years. He got it reorganized, got it started back in 2009. So what drew you from Round Rock, Texas, all the way out to Oregon?
Yeah, so actually I got my junior year when I was living in California. And Horton, he's a Southern California guy, right? Cal State Fullerton. And he has that area. He had that area on lock, and I was one of those guys from Southern California that he recruited up to Oregon. And I had some other offers from local schools in California, Santa Barbara, UCLA. But at the time, Oregon seemed like a really, really cool place to go. I was a huge football fan, loved Mariota, and taking a look at their campus, I mean, it was awesome what they do for athletes and stuff. So in high school, I was pretty sold on Oregon for sure.
And you mentioned that Horton had a lockdown on Southern California. He also recruited Johnny DeLuca, who's in the Dodgers organization right now. And while you and DeLuca were teammates there at Oregon, and while DeLuca was there, he actually was a switch hitter. I got to know about the left-handed hitting game of Johnny DeLuca. We know the right-handed hitting and how much power he has. Now, I got to know about his left-handed game.
Yeah, so I've known Johnny for a long time. When I was living in California, we were in the same league, so we played each other all the time when we were in high school. But, man, Johnny, he could really swing it from the left, he was really, really solid. I think he still could. I mean, he's taken off right now as a righty, and he's shown that power that he's always had. And I remember him my freshman year being able to do everything, man, just run, hit from both sides, throw. I mean, He's an absolute stud. He's a gem for sure.
And whenever you're young like that, it makes a big impression on you. And let's go all the way back to your childhood. Your mother is from Japan, and then, like I said, you grew up in Thousand Oaks. So first of all, do you get to go back to Japan any and kind of meet that culture, and how does that go? And then how did you end up going from Thousand Oaks to Round Rock, and take us back to that time of your life?
Yeah, so I moved around a lot as a kid. My dad was in the Navy. He met my mom when he was stationed. So, I was born in Japan, maybe spent a year or two there, moved to Washington, moved to Rhode Island, moved to Virginia Beach, moved back to Japan, moved to Hawaii, Washington, D.C., to Singapore, then to California and Texas. So I've been around the block for sure.
Wow, how about that? So you've had like about 10 lifetimes full of experiences, and you're still just 23 years old. So wow, nothing can phase you at this point, huh?
Yeah, I got it all in early, man. So now it's just baseball.
Yeah, so a lot of, one of the things that's a big transition period for a lot of guys in pro ball is just the travel and moving around quite a bit. That's probably not going to phase you, is it?
No, I mean, I'm excited for, wherever I go, because it's always a new opportunity. There's no fear or doubt about moving to a new place. It's just kind of normal to me. So I think that's helped me a lot so far, and will continue.
No doubt. Of course, being in Thousand Oaks, California, that's in the northwestern edge of the LA suburbia area. And then you went to Round Rock, which is a suburb of Austin. So both of those places have just, top level high school baseball. So you competed against the best in high school, and you were a two-way player. And many think, you could have, if you chose to, be a pitcher at whatever level you wanted to, because you're that good on the bump. So take us through the process of, your two-way career and why you chose to become just a position player.
Yeah. So, I was really, really good at pitching in my youth. Better probably than I was a hitter. And then I got bigger and stronger. The bat came along, but I was still really savvy pitcher. I learned a lot. I had a pitching coach named Daniel Edwards. He was an All-American at K-State while I was in Singapore, actually. And, he taught me how to pitch backwards and do that. And I developed some really good off-speed stuff. Pitched for the first 2 years in high school. When I moved to California, I didn't pitch at all my high school year. And, I moved to Round Rock my senior year. Dad got a new job. And they threw me on the bump, and I still had some left in the gas tank. So that was a lot of fun. But I got recruited as an infielder, and that's my bread and butter. So I stuck with it, and I do think I could probably still get on the bump. Give me some time to train and stuff like that. I think I could still do it, but I'm pretty good with where I'm at right now, and just gonna keep working to get better.
Hey, it's a long season in professional baseball. Did they ever ask you to throw BP?
No, but I was gonna pitch in one of these days in Rancho this year. We were down on.
Oh, really? You almost got in the game?
Yeah, and Shoemaker told me, hey, if we go through 6 guys today in the game, you're pitcher number 7. And I was like, all right, I kind of want to get on this mound or today, So that was really cool. That was really cool.
Kenneth Betancourt kind of has that market cornered. And he has that ephus pitch. Has he taught you that ephus pitch?
He hasn't taught me it, but I've seen it. I saw him strike some guys out with that, actually. I mean, that's a pretty big jump from facing, mid-90s to 45 miles per hour. I mean, that's not an easy at-bat, I'll tell you that.
Hey, how would you like to be the hitter that struck out against a 47-mile-an-hour ephus pitcher from a position player?
Oh man, I think whenever those situations happen in the game, you're facing a position player, and it's almost you have to you kind of psych yourself out a little bit, because this guy's not throwing hard, he doesn't have anything, but if you get out, you kind of look like a fool, So it's I'm definitely glad I haven't struck out against a position player yet, Okay,
so you're very familiar with the Southern California area, Thousand Oaks. You were there in high school for a while. Now you're with Rancho Cucamonga, so I'm sure you feel comfortable there. So I want to talk about, your season here in this that we just ended with 2022, but also I've talked to Nick Nastrini a little bit about this, and I haven't had a chance to talk to a whole lot of Rancho Quake guys. So, hey, tell us about Shoemaker. Tell us what it's like playing for Shoe. I've heard stories, but I'd like to hear your firsthand account.
Yeah, I loved playing for Shu. Shu's old school as they come, but he's there every day early, making sure you get your work in and stuff like that. I had a blast playing for Shu. Like I enjoyed every day. He wants to win, wants to do all of that. So I had a blast playing for him, and I just came out every day knowing that he had my back in the dugout and stuff like that. So it was a great time, and I really enjoyed Shu and our whole staff, Nava. OD, Okoya Dixon, and Darren Olinger. I mean, great staff this year down in Rancho.
You ever see a Koye take BP?
Oh yeah, we last
Dude can
day
hit
of the
bombs,
year.
can he?
Oh man, he's still got some juice. He's still got some juice.
Yeah, I got to see him quite a bit when he was at AAA Oklahoma City, 5 or 6 years ago. And man, when he hits one, it stays hit. So
Oh, for sure.
I'm sure he can take some pretty impressive BP. But hey, let's back up. Let's go back. Okay, so you went to Oregon, and after 1 year, you transferred out to Santa Barbara College. You mentioned just a minute ago that you looked at Santa Barbara coming out of high school. It's in that California area. So take us through the decision to move on to Santa Barbara College.
Yeah, so after my freshman year, Horton, he was done coaching, and new staff kind of came in, and I didn't have a great freshman year. It was kind of unsure about what my next move was, and I figured just to bet on myself and let's go to a JUCO and try and build another relationship with another school that recruited me rather than kind of coming into a spot where I'm not recruited by these coaches. They don't really know me, so. Since I was familiar with that area, Thousand Oaks isn't too far from Santa Barbara. I decided to just play my JUCO ball up there, and it worked out. Went to Oregon State right afterwards, committed before the COVID pandemic happened, and that's that.
So you're in Santa Barbara 2019. I'm assuming you're there in 2022 when the COVID hit. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, and so then you decide to transfer to Oregon State. Of course, that's not that far from Oregon. So obviously Mitch Canham and then Darwin Barney. Darwin Barney is one of the best infielders in the history of the Oregon State school baseball program. Of course, the success is fairly recent for them. So take us through your decisions to go to Oregon State. I think they're pretty obvious, but take us through that, and then your time there in Corvallis.
Yeah, so I mean, when I got that call and I was getting recruited by him, it was kind of a weird feeling because as a Duck, you're taught, especially in the baseball world, you're taught to not like those guys. But my coaching staff that recruited me wasn't there anymore, so I really had no ties except for some good buddies there. But I heard that, and I thought it'd be pretty cool, kind of come on a little revenge tour, I guess, in a sense, where come back to that state and that same conference, pretty much biggest rivals in that conference, and go to Oregon State. And, I chose that program's so well run. Those guys I played up with there at Oregon State, man, that's some of the best brotherhood I've ever had playing sports. I love all those guys, love that town, super tight knit. And God, that was such a blast. And I loved every day being in Corvallis, man. It was awesome.
Okay. So after 2021, you still, I believe, I always get confused because COVID gave guys a year back, and then you also have red shirts if you haven't used them. So I believe, if I have this right, you still had 2 years that you could have came back to Oregon State when you decided to sign with the Dodgers.
I did. I still had 2 years left, but I figured, I need to get into pro ball with my age coming up. Like I need at least that shot. If I spend any more time there, and I've had to deal with injuries. I figured like, hey, it's time to go. It's now or never, if you want to make this dream a reality. So I figured it was in my best interest to, sign that contract and get on to pro ball.
I think it's pretty obvious because, like we said, you're a Southern California boy, at least up until your senior year. Of course, you moved around everywhere, but you were familiar with the Southern California area. But of course, you were a free agent after, and whenever you decided to leave Oregon and become a professional, you were a free agent at that point. So what were the factors that made you choose the Dodgers?
The playing for the Dodgers is just, it's one of the coolest things, to be able to wear that uniform. And it's something I take pride in, that this is such an awesome organization. And it's hard to say really, but I mean, who else would you rather want to play for? You know,
Sure.
and I know their development system in the minor leagues is solid. I've seen it firsthand. You know, I've already felt like I've gotten so much better. But yeah, you know, I just felt like this was a good spot for me to grow as a player. You know, and I think we're surrounded by a bunch of good players in this organization, and there's a lot of talented players, and you got to step your game up if you want to be a Dodger at the big league level. And so, you know, I'm glad I chose this route, and I think it's only going to serve me well.
No doubt, and a lot of excitement signing with the Dodgers. Obviously, a tremendous organization, and then a lot of frustration because you had broken your finger, so you didn't actually even get to play. You signed in 2021 in July, something like that, after your college season had ended, and then you didn't even get to play until June of 2022. So you went, about 11 months without even getting to play after you signed with the Dodgers. So take us through, was that a frustrating period, and take us through that and getting back with the Quakes?
So I'll start with the injury, how it happened. It was the COVID summer. I was playing for the Round Rock Harrymen in the Texas League down at the Dell Diamond. And, you know, I was playing in that league.
That's a college league in the summer, right?
Yeah, college league in the summer. So since the minor league season was canceled, a lot of the minor league teams had collegiate summer teams. And I live in Round Rock, and the Rangers AAA team, the Express, was having that team. I was invited to play on it, and we were playing a game, and I was hitting 2-hole, and our leadoff hitter gets a base knock, first pitch of the game, and I'm like, you know what, like, I'm gonna drop a bunt here, and you know, guy throws a 2-seamer inside. I try and bunt it for a hit. Came in, hit my finger. I went numb. I had no idea what happened. I looked at my glove. It was a white batting glove, and there was blood coming out of it. I'm like, oh, this isn't good. So, you know, I take off the glove, my finger's all crooked, and it turns out I shattered my finger, and I had to get 9 plates put in there. So my entire junior, redshirt sophomore year at Oregon State, I was playing with 9 plates in my finger. And then after the season, I got signed with the Dodgers, and then I had surgery again to get those plates removed. And so it was just it was like a 2-year injury pretty much, and over a finger, which is tough. And, you know, it took me a while to kind of get back in the groove after not playing every day. You know, I went to instructs, and that was my first time really playing in a couple months, and came back to spring training, still not feeling the groove. And I just had to battle every day pretty much, you know, trying to figure that groove out, get back into the swing of things. And, you know, I got my opportunity in Rancho, and, you know, started feeling that groove back and got back into my ways of playing and stuff. So that was really a great time for me to just come back from that injury and finally feel like, you know, I'm back where I need to be in terms of playing baseball again. So yeah, it was a long road, but you know, I got over it, and everything's great. Everything's good to go, and I'm excited to build on that for next year.
Yeah, you talk about building. It's going to be a big year for you at the age of 23. I think one of the things definitely that you have going for you, no doubt about it, is obviously your size. What, you're 6'2", is that correct?
6'4", 250.
6'4", okay, yeah. 6'4", so you're long and lanky, and then also you played every position in the infield, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes,
so you have a lot of versatility. So you have the type of frame the Dodgers really like, and then you have the versatility they like as well. So talk about that part of your game.
Yeah, so, you know, I'm a bigger guy, 6'4", but I've always been able to play up the middle from a young age. So I think I learned that because when I was in Singapore, actually, I was playing Japanese baseball with Japanese expats.
Oh, wow. With Japanese what?
You know, like the Japanese, right? So you see in the Little League World Series every year, these 12-year-old little Japanese kids, you know, they're really fundamentally sound. And that's how I kind of grew up playing in Singapore. I was there from like 11 to 15 years old. So it was long days at the field, you know, playing Japanese style, taking ground balls for 4 hours and stuff like that. And, you know, as a bigger guy, I kind of learned to play small, like a tiny guy, you know, be able to play second, short. And I think without that, I don't know if I'm as good of an infielder, you know, because I feel like I know how to play short and second, be low to the ground, have quick feet. And then with my size, you know, I feel like I can lock down the corner spots as well. So yeah, that's just like my kind of story about that, you know, learning that versatility from a young age, being able to translate, you know, my body with a style of playing that really isn't seen with that type of body, you know?
No doubt. No doubt. That is an amazing story. I didn't realize you actually spent that much time playing Japanese baseball like that. That is really cool.
Yeah, yeah. So my dad at the time, he was a naval intelligence officer, and he was working at the embassy in Singapore. So
Wow.
we had a 4 or 5 year deployment down there, and moving from the States to Singapore, I was like, oh man, I don't know what to do really with baseball. I love it, but what are the opportunities out here? And the American school I went to out there had a baseball league, but it really wasn't as competitive. But the Japanese league was super competitive, and we would travel from Singapore we'd go play in Japan and go play in Australia and all these different sorts of deals. So, I mean, I think that really saved my baseball dreams for sure.
Your mom is from Japan, correct?
Yes, she's from Tokyo.
Okay, so all of her family is back there. Do you go back to Japan quite a bit to visit them?
I haven't been back to Japan in a while. I'm planning on going back probably next off season.
Have they had a chance to come watch you play in America?
No, they haven't. I'm working on that. I'm hoping this year, they could come out. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I talked to Hyun Il Choi about this time last year. He's from Korea, and he said that his dad and his family got to come watch him, and it was like the coolest thing. So I'm excited for that moment for you. That's going to be, I don't even know if you realize, I'm sure you do, but I'm just telling you, when that finally gets to happen, that's going to be one of the coolest moments of your life.
I think so too. I'm hoping they can come out. That'd be really, really cool.
Okay, so you're 23 years old. So, just looking at it from the outside looking in, from my perspective, being 23, you ended at single A Rancho last year. This looks like the next year is a year that you might jump 2 levels, at the age of 23, especially if you get off to a good start. So this is a huge off season for you. So take us through how you're preparing for 2023 and what your expectations are for next year.
Yeah, like you said, the versatility is huge for me, being able to play multiple positions. And I just want to be a guy that I know that my manager is comfortable and trusts me every day to write my name in the lineup. That's what my ultimate goal is. Wherever I go, be the guy who can be in the lineup every day. And, this is a big off season for me, right? I'm 23 and, I'm looking to start in high A. If I get off to a good start, I think I'll probably go to double A, Yes. So I'm looking forward to getting that opportunity, and, I'm crushing it in the gym, crushing it with the swing, all of that stuff, and just coming into spring training, being ready to go. So, I'm going to leave no doubt. I'm pretty confident in that.
Sounds like the lifestyle, with your confidence and your work ethic and all of your experiences in life, it sounds like the professional baseball world just suits you just perfectly, doesn't it?
I think I was born to be a baseball player. Yeah.
No doubt about it. You sound just as happy as can be. And it sounds like, so many guys are so worried about results, and everything that's coming out of your mouth is just talking about the process of playing baseball, which is so impressive.
Yeah. I mean, I think, it's really easy to get result oriented, and, I think it happens to the best of us. I do feel like I do a good job of focusing on the process, but of course, you go 0 for 4, and then you go 0 for 4 again. You're like, God, I really need a hit, but it just doesn't work like that. So for me personally, it's just about making sure I put in all the work leading up to spring training, leading up to the game, even of game day, and just when it's time to go, it's time to go. You're not thinking about your swing. You put in the work, right? Now it's just time to play. You did your routine to a T, and you just go out there and, you let it fly, because you got nothing to lose. So that's where my head's at with that.
You've lived in multiple continents. You've lived in multiple states. You went to 3 different colleges, didn't get drafted out of college. You signed a free agent. Then you got hurt, and then you had to go through surgery and rehab and all of that. And so, wow, what an amazing story, and what an amazing message of perseverance. And to me, it just seems like to me, when you have all those different experiences, baseball is such a difficult game when you're not comfortable with your surroundings, if that makes sense. And so that being the case, it seems to me like you are a story of just perseverance and self-belief. I mean, everywhere you had to go, you had to believe in yourself at all costs. So, for all those kids out there that maybe they're doubting themselves, or they're not comfortable with their surroundings, or things are new and those kind of, what is your message for them?
Yeah. For me, who would have ever thought a kid living in Singapore would play college baseball, let alone professional baseball? I mean, I remember one of my favorite stories about just kind of person I am is like my freshman year when I was living in Singapore. We would have these free periods, right? It's a block where you have an hour and a half. You don't have class. Usually kids use it to work on homework and stuff. But for me, at the time, I was trying to work on my speed. So during my free period, I would go out on the turf field and run parachute sprints for an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
Because that was my goal. I really wanted to play college baseball, and I didn't know how I was going to do that living in Singapore. So I made sure I just worked and worked. I knew I was going to get there. I didn't know how. So I would just tell these kids, you don't always have to know how you're going to get there. You just got to know you're going to get there, because it's going to happen if you put in the work. There's so many different roads and pathways you can take in your baseball careers and life in every way. But if you know you're going to get to a spot, you can relax and just put in the work, because you're going to get there. You don't know how, but you're going to get there. So that's what I'd say. Just keep working and never, ever quit. Never quit anything. It doesn't matter what it is. You just can never quit.
Wow. That is quite a message. Wow. I am so impressed with that message. And you can tell, the thing that I love about these messages and what you just gave is just looking at your career and the way that things have gone for you. It's not, you have lived the message that you just gave. So one more time, just to end this, just for entertainment's sake almost. Yeah. Okay. Born in Japan, and then take us through the rest of it as far as where all you lived and moved. One more time.
Okay. So I was born in Japan, Navy base, Yokosuka. Moved to Washington, moved to Rhode Island, moved back to Japan, moved to Virginia Beach, moved to Hawaii, moved to DC, moved to Singapore, moved to California, moved to Texas. That was my childhood through high school life right there.
And then to Oregon.
And then to Oregon in college, yep.
And then back to California.
And back to California.
And then back to Oregon.
And then back to Oregon.
And now back to California.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's been a long, long road for sure.
Wow. What a story. What a message. This has been just a super fun experience for me getting to meet you, Kyle. This is a wonderful story. One that beyond baseball fans, just anybody who has a dream and a goal in life, this is a story that you need to pay attention to and follow and listen to. So, Kyle Froemke, thank you so much for joining Dodgers Daily.
Casey, thank you, man. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.